ball handler!
Hey guys, SWTOR bringing you another one-on-one counter. I decided to go ahead and finish up the POWERTECH this week. We'll be mainly talking about POWERTECH, just because that's what mainly everybody's running now as far as POWERTECH DPS. On the list here we have Jet Charge, Retractable Blade, some of the other abilities and the other trees, just so you're aware of them. Those trees kind of work similar. Of course the tank tree is not going to do as much damage and he's going to try and outlast you. We're not going to really go into much detail about that. It's just a tank fight, outlasting them, throw your dots on them. You shouldn't have much trouble with that. The middle tree is a little weak on DPS, so I'm not going to get into that too because you should have a huge advantage on them also. But far as POWERTECH, it's really hard to say. You know, you have a couple of things you need to really watch for. They have an extra stun, which is a carbonite freeze. So you have that, which is a close range ability. They have an interrupt. So if you're doing this as Arsenal, if they get on top of you, you're basically screwed. Because they can interrupt you, freeze you with that carbonite to interrupt you. They have the normal electro dart. So they have like 3 abilities they can knock you out of tracer missile or any of your other abilities. So I would definitely recommend going POWERTECH to face a POWERTECH. The other thing is they have grapple, which they can also use to interrupt. So they have a lot of abilities, and they have a lot of melee-oriented abilities like you know, flame sweep, flame burst, all like 10-meter range or have to be right on top of you, including flamethrower and other stuff like that. They really don't have a lot of range stuff other than rail shot and a few dots. But the key thing that I've noticed to fighting a POWERTECH is if you get gripped in, is what's going to happen. And a lot of times they'll throw you straight into a electro dart. Electro dart you definitely want to get out of. Use your CC breaker on that. Your carbonite freeze damage that you take while in that breaks you out. So you definitely don't want to use a CC breaker on that. You want to leave it be. As far as grapple, they'll pull you in and do one of those two things, either stun you or carbonite freeze. Depending on which one you get, you break the CC. So that's pretty much the first step that is going to happen a lot of times. A second step is you want to get as far away from them as possible. You want to kite them, because if you look, flame burst, the interrupt, a lot of these abilities operate in close melee or close to melee range, a 10-meter range. So you want to get as far away as possible from them, and that'll limit their damage, and get dots on them. If you're POWERTECH, you're going to have your snare with your combustible cylinder with the talents. He's going to have it too. He's going to keep you snared also. But just try and stretch it more than 10 meters and try and not to backpedal. Try and run, but don't backpedal. As you've seen a lot of times in this video, it's how it worked out. My character ended up, even though I have that key unbinded, he still ends up backpedaling somehow. Even though I'm strafing and running backwards, it still happens. And I really am kind of upset about this, that they can't fix this, or you know, it's just how it works. I don't understand it. But you definitely don't want to backpedal. Try and limit the slowness of backing up as possible, because you want to keep the range further than 10 meters, and so you can maximize your DPS, and he's gimped. The second thing is, or the third thing, excuse me, you want to try and not to extend the fight really long. I mean, you have your heals and stuff, but if you run around a corner, all he's going to do is close that gap and be able to interrupt you. Then he's on top of you. So really, you're going to find yourself falling behind the longer the fight goes on. So you have to be really aggressive with this. Put a lot of pressure on him at the beginning of the fight with your, you know, go through your regular, you know, POWERTECH rotation. Get a lot of pressure on him. If he's not putting much offensive pressure on you, you know, you can start to back up, then kind of sneak around a corner and let the dots tick, and then put pressure back on him. But you got to play this smart. You just can't pull completely out of the fight and try and heal up, or not unless the situation, you know, works out that way. A lot of times you'll see in these videos the situation works out where I'm on a different level or something. Of course, heal up. I'm not saying don't do that. But in a lot of situations, don't just run away from the fight, because he will catch up to you, will stun you, and will destroy you. So not unless the situation, you know, you got to play this smart. You can't let the situation control what happens. You have to kind of flow with it, and if circumstances happen that you're able to get heals off around the corner, yeah, that's awesome. Um, so really those, you know, that's the key three things: grapple, you know, your CC breaker, keeping them at ranged, and of course being very offensive. And I'm not going to lie, they are better than us. They're better than mercenaries. They can basically, you know, they have more options, more utility at close range. They have flame burst that does a lot of damage, plus puts a dot on you. It procs combustional cylinder on you. So really you're at a super disadvantage. That's why I'm saying you have to outplay them with the, you know, how you move on the map, how you know, how you go about this one-on-one, because they have the skill set that is really better than you with these two pyro versus pyro specs facing off. So really they basically have it, the upper hand. So you really have to, you know, outplay them. And I got really frustrated in this hut ball. We were fighting, we were on opposite teams, and we were fighting like non-stop on the edges of the map. And it really drove me crazy just how the circumstances worked out. I died so many times before I really got a good rhythm in to what I should be doing, how I should be countering this. Because it's like, you know, you use all your abilities, you do everything possible, but sometimes they still have an upper edge on you and still destroy you. So you really have to think this through and let the fight just kind of flow and let it come to you. But if you handle those three things with the pull in for the stun that they're going to do to you, and breaking it, and keeping them at ranged, and being aggressive, you really, you know, it'll set you up to win. I'm not going to say you're going to win 100% of the time, but those three things will definitely help you out. Definitely use your stuns, your blowbacks, everything at the beginning. Just go all out, use all your defenses, go through your rotation. You really can't afford to save a stun till he's at 50% or do anything like that. You have to have the advantage off the start, because his dots hit harder than you. He has flame burst, he has rail shots that crit heavily. So you want to throw him off of his game at the beginning of the fight. So really try and stun, use all your blowbacks, really get the fight going in your favor so your dots start ticking, and it'll make the whole situation go a lot easier. One other thing, guys, I almost forgot about it, is make sure you keep your dots caught up. That's really important. Just like I was saying in the other video, when you're facing any kind of sort of POWERTECH, is to make sure you have 2 dots on you, cleanse, 2 dots, cleanse, and that'll be about the timer on your cleanse. Really don't worry about your heat, because you do have vent heat if you get into that much trouble. You should be fine, but really keep those dots caught up and stay with your basic rotation. If you're having any questions about your rotation, check out my video for POWERTECH or Arsenal if you're wanting to go that route to counter this, and it'll have all the basic rotation questions you may have. But yeah, just even though you're mainly focused on going really offensive, make sure you keep those dots caught up. It'll save a lot of damage that you take, and you'll be able to cleanse them off of you. And that's going to cover it for you know, Bounty Hunter versus Bounty Hunter series. You know, I know it's Bounty Hunter versus Bounty Hunter 2 weeks in a row, but this is the POWERTECH, and I really wanted to finish it off and show you their abilities. Here's all the dueling footage. You'll see a lot of the different situations that I was telling you about and how to counter this, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. And next week I'm really going to try for a Republic class. I really want to do something a little bit different, but we'll just have to see how it works out. And like always, if you like the video, hit like, and if you're not a subscriber, I'll have more tips and tricks coming out for Star Wars Old Republic. I'm going to start doing a little bit different stuff too. I'm going to be doing a couple other games, different gameplay, while I'm waiting on for 1.2, of course. So yeah, talk to you guys later.
Useless throw! Rotworms are losing it, folks! Our dogs have the ball, but for how long? Rotworms pass. Success! That's how it's done! Rotworms score! Neutral ball! Let's go berserk!
This video is part of the WEEK movement, a career path in video. To learn more, visit tgn.tv.